An answer, the Slob 90X program. Just look at these results. In just 90 days, these 12 Slob 90X DVDs will put you on a program to weaken those bulbous shoulders and build a thick wall of fat around your midsection.
SLOB stands for slow, lazy, ordinary body. In just 90 days, I can help you become a computer nerd, a party animal, or just a plain old lovable slob.
Hello and welcome. I was dancing to the Slob 90X music. Welcome to Lunch Therapy. This is your moment of therapy. We're on Tuesdays and Fridays at noon Pacific time, 3 p.m. Eastern time. Come join us. Today is Interview Friday. So we have an excellent guest today, Helaine Witt, longtime comedian, someone who's came up in the late 70s and San Francisco alongside people like Robin Williams. Now she's killing it in New York City. So let's get into this thing. This is called Lunch Therapy. I'm gonna get myself a modem. 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 All right, welcome to Lunch Therapy. Lunch Therapy is a place for us to breathe a little bit, take a break from the crap. There's a lot of crap going on in the world right now. And we come in here, we talk about comedy a lot. We talk about keeping your mind right. The show started out in the early part of the pandemic. I guess that was March 2020. So feel free to make a comment, make a joke, join in. If you have something that you want me to ask the guest, please let us know. We can bring up the comments on the screen. I want to say thank you to all the Patreons. Thank you, Patreons. We got a new Patreon. Howard Aronin is now a Patreon. We got Mike Knox, Todd Lee. Patreons are, what is a Patreon? You say, hey, isn't it called Patron? No, Patreon is a service. A lot of people know about it, but it's a place where you can support independent media by just giving like $5 or $10 or $5,000 or whatever a month that you want to give. Patreon.com/Joel Marshall. And sometimes you see some behind the scenes stuff, like my assistant Boney back there dancing and, you know, getting the coffee ready for the show and things like that. So come on by patreon.com/Joel Marshall. Support independent media and Lunch Therapy. I'm trying to look for the comments here. I can't see the comments right now, but anyway, we're going to get on with it. Let's get into some breathing. There we go. I finally found my little comments window. Gniel is there. He's on Twitch. We go out to Twitch. We Twitch a lot. We go out to LinkedIn, Facebook, YouTube. On Tuesdays, we play a contest where you can win $10. I know. How many shows do you win $10? I don't know. Behind me is Healing Vibrations. We're doing some Aries sound bath because it's that time of year. Want to shout out to my mother-in-law, Liz Lopez. We're celebrating her birthday on Sunday. She's an Aries. And then my wife, Kamala Lopez, is on Tuesday. So happy birthday to everybody out there, to my people. This is going to be a great interview. Yeah. Thanks, Danielle. Helaine is powerhouse and hilarious comedian. Okay, let's do this breathing in through the nose, out through the toes. Hold it. Let it go. In through the nose. Out through the toes. There's a gong back there. I'm a huge gong fan. In through the nose, out through the toes. In the chat room, if you want to name some of your favorite gong songs, just, go ahead. Feel free. Let it go. Get It On, Bang the Gong comes to mind. Happy birthday, Liz. There we go. That's good. Cool. Any other gong hits that you can think of? Maybe Helaine knows of a good gong song. She was a groupie at some point. I don't know if she would call herself a groupie, but she was big into the music scene. Went to Woodstock. Yeah, if you ever wonder what Woodstock was like, we're gonna ask Helaine. Now some music. This is a very interesting instrument. It is called a harpeggi. And they're playing Jim Croce, Time in a Bottle. This fellow Matthew Terade, I don't know how he says it. Because he speaks with his fingers. It's like a combination between a piano and a guitar, I guess. All right, we got a gong song. Donkey Kong. I don't know if that's a song, Mike Knox. Gong, baby, gong. That's the favorite one. It's like a giant guitar, yeah. Helaine is the queen of birthday songs. She caters a birthday song for you. Amazing. Oh my God, we're going to have to ask that of Helaine. Thank you, Howard, for that. I like how he has that wine glass over there with an empty bottle. I guess that's time that's in that bottle. It's not empty at all. It's a beautiful song that I'm talking over. When are we going to do another Mike Knox show? Hopefully soon. Mike Knox and I are going to be working on a little short soon. It's slowed down a bit, but it's going to be ramped up soon. All right, let's get into this thing. Let's introduce Helaine and get her on the screen. Thank you very much, Matthew Terade, for having this beautiful music on the show. Production is ramping up. Yeah, it's hardly ramping up. We did a read-through like 3 weeks ago or something. That's the way it is with these short films. So they're like, they go in bursts, and all of a sudden you're just on the set going, oh my God, we didn't have enough time, even though months went by. So here we are talking about Helaine Witt. Helaine Witt, I met, I think probably during the pandemic. I think through Linda Marcus Smith we met. Helaine is, she is a force to be reckoned with, a force of nature. She started her comedy in the late 70s. She was working with an improv teacher who was a regular member of Robin Williams' troupe, Papaya Juice. So she learned from the best. She went on to write jokes. Somebody said to her, you can write jokes for comedians by sending them jokes, and oftentimes they'll buy them. So she just set out to work on writing jokes, submitted them to people like Joan Rivers, who bought one of her jokes, some of her jokes. Oatmeal Studios, who does greeting cards. Sold jokes to them. She's very good at one-liners. She's also she's open for comedians like Bobby Collins, Joey Kola, Bob Nelson, Vanessa Hollingshead, all kinds of people. She can talk about what that's like. She also then later on in life, in her like 70s, she started doing Zoom comedy, and she was working with this Joe Firestone, who's a hilarious female comic who was working with older people to do stand-up comedy, and it just took off. They had a show on Peacock with all of them. Well, maybe we'll show a little clip from that. And the documentary called Still Standing. And also she's done several short films with her since, so that's really cool. She has a new pilot called the Connie Show that she's working on. And she also performs regularly around town, all over the place. Places like the Comic Strip Live, Broadway Comedy Club, and the Governor's Comedy Club. So without further ado, let's bring her on. Boney, let's hear the music. That's showbiz.
Wondering, is that the love child of Barry Manilow and Dr. Ruth? I can't be. I'm almost their age. Not Dr. Ruth, she's 95. Barry Manilow's age. I'm a retired New York City school teacher. Thank you. I taught in the toughest school in New York City. I mean, these kids didn't just chew their pencils. They swallowed the erasers and washed it down with vodka. 2nd grade. And like when we were young, we used to carve our sweetheart's name in the desk. These kids carved their sweetheart's name in their sweetheart. And the principal sits in an ivory tower. Everything's a teachable moment. So there I am, 5 feet tall, old, and I'm breaking up a fight. This kid goes, "He strangled me terrible!" Stop. You're using your adverbs incorrectly. He strangled you terribly. This is a teachable moment. And they never gave us money for supplies at my school. So when I was teaching scales and measurement, I went home, I brought in my bathroom scale, my Weight Watcher scale, and my cocaine scale. I'm only kidding. I never went to Weight Watchers.
Ladies and gentlemen, Helaine Witt. Great to have you on the show. Welcome to Lunch Therapy.
All I can say is I hope my funeral is as beautiful as what you just provided. Wow.
I'm glad I could provide that for you. You have been providing laughs for people your entire life, and they're continuing. Were you funny at school as well when you were a teacher? Are you one of those funny teachers?
A lot of time I couldn't be because you had to be so tough in my school, which I hated. You couldn't be motherly or well, I was, but to answer your question, I had sarcastic things to say. Want me to give you an example?
Yeah, sure. That'd be great.
This is just a rare thing I did, but I really had to be so rigorous. I hated how I had to be, but if a kid was a certain way, like, let's say a kid tattled all the time, tattletaled, I'd say, "Welcome to the Joshua Tattletale Seminar." Something like that. And that made me chuckle. It went over their heads.
Were you, when you started out in comedy, were you teaching as well? Or was
Good question. When I moved to San Francisco in 1978, they had cutbacks. There were cutbacks in New York, so I moved to California to be with friends and wear a flower in my hair, you know, if you're going to San Francisco during those times. But they had cutbacks, so I taught very little. I wanted to be a teacher, but they didn't provide,
that it wasn't important enough to hire more teachers.
And
They had cutbacks.
what made you just start doing comedy there?
Well, I was walking down Clement Street in San Francisco one night after work. I had like a office job, and this barker was standing in front of the Holy City Zoo, which was a comedy club where Robin Williams used to go.
Yeah.
And the barker was wearing a leisure suit, and his hair was greasy and slicked back, and he went, "Comedy, comedy, comedy, come in the comedy club." Nobody else was there. He told me to go in. He said, "Stand on the stage, look around." It was the farthest thing from my mind. And before I left,
Kidding me.
I had no, he's the one at the Holy City Zoo. I had signed up for an improv class, a writing class, and there were 3 classes: stand up,
Improv.
writing, and improv. And I said to him, "I can't afford all these, but I'll type your manuscript." And he used my vacuum cleaner when Robin would come to town, and he walked it through the streets from my avenue to the Holy City Zoo, and he vacuumed.
Now, Robin Williams, what was he like then? Was he like already on Mork and Mindy, or was he?
Good
Just starting
question.
out.
That's exactly around the time he got taken to Mork and Mindy. That's how I tell it. So he left the improv, but I did see him do improv with Papaya Juice a few times. He was amazing, and they were amazing. They did things with their improv sessions that you don't see every day. They were great, and he was great. And then, as you said, one of my teachers was from that group, and you showed the picture last time with my teacher in the picture.
Oh, yeah. Let me show you that. Let me show them that picture.
And I could say who the people are. That they
Now,
were Holy City's
Is
people.
this the picture?
Yeah, that's it. So
Wow.
on the left is the man, John Cantu, who brought me in, who was barking. That's him. He passed away. My teacher is the guy making the funny face, and he is related to Quentin Floss, who was a famous entertainer. And that was my teacher, Tony. Well, now I'm going to forget his name. Jose Simone. And behind him is Michael. Well, I'm really doing a bad job of remembering.
You're doing
him.
okay.
And
You're
then
doing
there's
okay.
Robin. Michael, he's famous. And then Robin. And then comes Denny Johnson. And remember A. Whitney Brown?
A. Whitney Brown, yeah.
He
Wow.
passed away. And then Bobby Slayton, who's still around.
Well, you got everybody in the picture. That was pretty darn good. I think you would deserve a round of applause for that.
And Michael, I know Michael's last name, but I forgot. He's
Yeah.
outrageous. But I just have
Oh,
a few
cool.
pictures from those days. You know what else I have?
What else you
I have
have?
a picture of me at the Holy City Zoo. This is like a strip when I was skinny or thinner.
Hold it up really close. Let's see if we can see it. Closer.
Yeah, there's the Holy City Zoo in the background.
Oh.
And there's me.
Holy City Zoo. I never heard of that place. I totally missed out on that.
If you Google it, you'll know that's where. Oh, let me tell you what happened. One day, a scout came. This is the way I tell it. A scout came. They took Kevin Nealon, Dana Carvey, Rob Snyder. One day, they were all gone, and they all went to L.A.
Oh, really? They just scooped him up.
That's how I feel. And there was one named Kevin Meaney who passed away. His daughter came to comedy in New York.
Wow, the chat room is really enjoying some of these names. It's cool.
Bobby Slayton.
Growing up, we had the World Book Encyclopedia. I was amazed one day when I was paging through a volume and saw a photo of Robin Williams captioned "A Mime in Central Park." Was he a mime
He
back
went
then?
to Juilliard. He
Yeah.
went to Juilliard in New York, so maybe that.
That's probably when that was, huh?
Yeah. But
How
That's
cool.
the famous story of how I ended up in comedy. It wasn't something I was interested in. Your friends fool around and things like that,
Yeah.
but nothing like.
So did
Like
you
what
did
I-
you go? Oh, everybody went to Los Angeles, so I should go there, or what did you do then?
I didn't. I was in San Francisco because of the hippies all moving there, and my best friend moved there, so I moved there, and it was.
So you were a real hippie.
Okay, I'll just say okay.
That's hard to say. The other day I told my wife I was a hippie and she was like, "You're the farthest thing from a hippie there is." I'm like,
It's one of those words where you could always challenge. If I said I didn't have a Volkswagen bus, or I cared about money, or I had a 9-to-5 job,
Yeah.
I didn't take drugs. So hippie is an interesting word.
It is an
But
interesting
even
word.
today, I feel like I'm pretty much some of, like I wear t-shirts. I don't dress up to go out. I'm 75.
Where do you think, and maybe people hippie adjacent is what Matt says. Where do you think the word hippie came from? Any idea?
No, but I bet you could find out.
I bet maybe somebody in
You're
the chat
a
room.
researcher.
Somebody in the chat room can tell us. Okay, so
Yeah.
this is pretty cool. This is you with Paul McCartney and your friend.
Yeah, and my friend Jude, she's the reason when I moved to California, she and her husband lived there, and she said, "Come out west, tune in, turn on, drop out, wear a flower in your hair." And then we loved the Beatles, and we went to England and stood outside Abbey Road. I have this picture. Well, you have the same picture.
Oh, is that John Lennon?
Yeah, that's John and I. You have the same picture walking down the street.
Yours
They
is
were
better than mine, though.
Well, they took the man out in the back, but I was wearing an army jacket, and then, as you know, the Beatles started wearing army jackets. Just saying.
You're like a trendsetter.
That's funny. I just happened to keep this to show you.
Oh yeah.
Before I met John and Paul, this is an oil, not oil. It's the artist blows paint. I can't explain it. Her name's Shannon, and she made this, and I bought it.
Beautiful.
Because this is the day I met John and Paul at a press conference.
And
on May 1968.
So were you into the Beatles when you were in San Francisco, or was this pre-San Francisco?
Yeah, very much pre. As soon as they came out, we were fanatic. In fact, when I met Yoko, when she was with John, she said, in England, she said, "How did you know where we'd be today?" I said, "I knew where John was every day of my life in high school from my bedroom in New York."
How did you know?
New York, without the internet.
Yeah.
Do you think when I came to England on a boat, you think I'm not going to know where he is every day? What are you, who are you?
Wow. That's amazing. So you went to Woodstock?
Oh, yeah, I have to clarify. That's a joke.
Oh, it's just a joke.
I was on my way.
Yeah.
And I turned around. My friends went. My ex-husband went. And I decided I didn't want to. The freeway was closed. So I said, "You go. It's pouring rain. You go." But in my routine, I do say I was at both Woodstocks. I'm sorry that I lied.
No, now that's a good question about stand-up comedy. Is sometimes you make stuff up. And it's weird. It's like a combination of being very personal and true and telling your truth, but also sometimes the truth doesn't quite fit into the joke. And what is your viewpoint on that?
My view is I feel guilty when I do a thing about taking a Quaalude while I was teaching the first day I went to teach.
Yeah.
And all of the story is true, but the punchline at the end of the story is, and you're looking at the assistant principal of PS 160 New York.
Wow.
For 20 years, which is not true. So that punchline bothers me, but the rest of the story was all true.
Yeah, it's funny. We had Antonio Scarpita on the show, and he does this thing about his ex-wives, where he's talking about his ex-wives, and like he had a whole bunch of them. I don't think he had a whole bunch of them. It just works. It works with his persona, and it works. I mean, it's not like you're telling the news. You're telling jokes, and the objective is to get people to laugh. And if it can hit harder because you put it in something that makes it more specific or cleaner. A lot of times it's cleaner, because young comedians, when they start out, or new comedians, oftentimes talk too much, like I'm doing right now in the interview, and they'll put way too much in there, and you'll just be like, just distill it down. Where did you learn stand up though? We know how you learned improv, but what styles did you learn? What structure, all that stuff?
Perfect question. Joan Rivers had her album, What Becomes a Legend Most, right around the time when I was going to the Holy City Zoo, and I would listen to it so much that I started to what I call channel her. So I'd walk down the street thinking, what would Joan Rivers say? So it was like coming through me. So when the man from the Holy City Zoo said, "Go to the library, look up your favorite comedian in this green reference book, look up their manager, send them a query letter, and I could type. I had a job where I was a typist all day, and at my lunch hour we had a Selectric, Joel, which is a little ball which made a clunky typewriter go nice and smoothly, so you could just type. So I would sit at my lunch hour and think. So they gave me a topic, and it was unfortunately Liz Taylor being, how fat is she? It's terrible. They don't do that today.
Yeah.
But so I just thought, what would Joan Rivers say? Liz Taylor is so fat, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And they gave me some other topics, and that's how I sent my jokes. And she brought about 10, and I happened you had another letter that they sent me, but it just shows there's a reflection, but you see Joan Rivers stationary.
Yeah.
And what this is, it says it's from Sabrina, and if you watched her Joan Rivers shows that she had before she died, Sabrina worked for her, and Sabrina told me that she found my jokes behind a cabinet. Sorry.
Sorry. Dropped them in
They were moving.
They lost them behind the cabinet.
Yeah, it says we recently relocated, and we moved some files and some boxes, and we deeply regret any inconvenience. No, it was just my
That's
whole
awfully,
life waiting for that.
that's super nice of them. Like, who does that? That's been really nice people.
Super nice, but super disappointing, because you always want more.
Yeah.
I'd like to write more jokes for famous people. So it is nice.
How do you keep track of all your jokes?
Oh, I don't. I have about an hour's worth of material. Linda Marcus Smith was nice enough to put me on her Zoom her Zoom.
Yeah.
And just let me talk, and I have bits.
Mm-hmm.
They don't all work, so a lot of times I end up doing my tried and true material, which is about teaching, like you saw, and about Woodstock, and about getting older. Those jokes work, so I do those very often. And, I put in other things. So to keep track, I have cards, but I don't use them.
I'm going to play one of your clips here.
Thank you.
Just like what you're talking about.
And you young gals, wait till you see what you get on your legs. It's amazing. They're rainbows. They're called varicose veins, but I call mine the Google Roadmap to Adventure. This road takes you to the Sterling Forest. I'll break that down to you young gals. You do something called the Brazilian. I don't know, I missed a few centuries, Marian. I missed what the hell is this? I mean, the last time I had a Brazilian was behind the Belmont racetrack. That's where I'm from.
Oh, that's great. So you had that was great, by the way.
Thank you.
You had a period of time where you didn't do stand-up. Is that right?
Yes, I was teaching school.
And so when you came back, when was that? Was it during the pandemic, or was it before then?
I moved back to New York in the early 90s, and I got busy with school. I'd stay in the classroom late, and then I really got back into comedy as much as I am now when I retired in 2011.
Mm-hmm.
That's the easiest way to say it. But before that, I'd go a few times a week if I could to a mic.
Did you find that real freedom to express yourself when you retired? Like
I could sit on Facebook all day and say, here are my shows, and here's a clip, and I do have a lot of freedom.
And was your persona completely different than it was when you were younger?
Good question. I don't think I've changed at all. In fact, I don't feel my age. Like sometimes young comics try to insult us. We're in the audience and they say Golden Girls, or boy, look at all these older comics.
I know.
They were funny. Like they're surprised, or how old are you?
Yeah.
It doesn't bother me. I feel, I have a Beetle room. I have a Beetle room. I feel 12.
Yeah. You have a whole room just of Beatles paraphernalia? Really?
Yeah,
That's cool.
I could walk you in there if you want.
No, I think we better not press our luck. You never know what's going to happen with the internet when we do that. We're doing so well.
Okay, but I would just take the laptop in. Maybe I could.
Yeah, if you want to. If you want to, we go for it.
There, could you? That's not a good example. Yeah, it's a Beetle room.
Oh, that's cool.
I got a Beetle T-shirt today.
Speaking of that, hippie is an evolution of hipster, which originated in America's black community in the 30s and was picked up by the Beats in the 40s. Oh, that's interesting. See, I always thought it was because they wear low pants around their hips. But
boy, the fellas in the subway in New York, their pants were low. Now they're so low.
Yeah, pants on the ground.
Oh my God, they're so low.
Mike Knox says, yes, walk it, Beetle room. So I think we better see the Beetle room.
Oh, because
crowd wants it. Got to give them what they want. Give the people what they want.
Oh, my house isn't it's not a house, it's an apartment. Nice. Okay, here we go.
All right, let's do it. Beetle room time. I don't mind
sharing the Beetle room.
What's your favorite Beatles song?
That's hard to say right now.
What's tough, yours? Isn't it? Day in the Life.
Oh, nice.
I like that one. We're gonna at our dance break. We're gonna play a Beatles song too. Of course, Hey Jude is great, but that's the classic one that they say is the best song ever written or something. I don't know. Back in the day, they used to do like countdowns of the top 100 songs on the radio.
Yes, you're right.
And Hey Jude always won.
That's interesting. They still do that. This is like stuff. These are shelves of things. Oh, and then you might want to know, what do I have valuable?
Yeah.
So something I'm proud of.
Look at that place.
This is a picture of John and Paul and I from Central Park. There. You see that next to the Lego, John? That's Legos.
Oh.
This picture is John and Paul and my nose on Central Park. And that's very sacred to me. And then up here, Astrid was Stu Sutcliffe's girlfriend. I don't know if you know. And that's like one of her shots, and it has a number on it. So that's
worth some money, but you're not going to sell it.
No, I had an autograph. Well, it's a whole story.
In that picture of you with Paul McCartney, it looked like you guys were hanging out, like you were like his part of his team or something.
No, I was walking down the street, just annoying him like everyone else. But I mean, they were nice to us. I'll say that much. And but that day, I'm not going to say I was with him or anything like that.
That's great.
John was very nice, and the picture on my Facebook has John singing to me because I was. It's not like he was singing to me some love song. He was singing every time I hear a newborn baby cry, because I said, we can't watch you tonight. You're going to be on TV on David Frost, and we're going to be in the youth hostel. So I was whining.
Didn't they? I mean, I thought they were like swamped with people, just swarmed with people just screaming, you know, like in the movies that we saw, like it seemed like they wouldn't even be able to walk down the street. But I guess maybe, I don't know.
That's a good point that I like to bring up. When we went, there were just these core groups of girls who stood there. Mm-hmm. And it was after that period of time, like the Hard Day's Night movie or Paul, you know.
Yeah.
So John was staying at Paul's house, and Paul lives around the corner from Abbey Road. So Paul would walk to Abbey Road every day. I was lucky they were walking from Paul's house to Abbey Road.
Huh. You just catch them at the right time.
During that period of time. And
I went to Woodstock. It was a concert, young people. It was a big concert. What was it, 250,000, Marion, or 500,000? And then they had another Woodstock 60 years later. And Paul McCartney sang Maybe I'm Amazed at Paul. Paul, maybe I'm amazed. You're 84 years old, and I can barely stand up here on the stage. And he's singing for 3.5 hours right now in Manchester, England. Actually, he's 82.
I laughed when you said heckle line. Oh my God. I laughed during your heckle line in anticipation. Mike Knox says Here Comes the Sun is his favorite Beatles song, I believe. And he also,
Right.
Howard says, so McCartney was in another group before Wings? Are you a Wings fan as well?
Yeah, very much.
Yeah, I love their, I mean, there's like a Wings greatest hits album or something that is just like, oh my God, they got so many great songs.
Yes.
They really do. So let's talk a little bit about what's happening now with your comedy career.
Okay.
Because
so-
some amazing stuff has happened.
Okay, so the movie you mentioned, Still Standing, that was a separate movie, a documentary about two comics who started in their 80s, and I was in that because I used to help one of the people, one of the two. That's a movie. The movie Good Timing is the one that Joe Firestone made during the pandemic. You're absolutely right. And then she put me in two other YouTube movies that people could watch. But
Shorts.
now, go ahead.
Shorts. One is called the Staring Contest, and the other one is called Singles Retreat.
Yeah, isn't Joel amazing?
Thank you. Thank you.
Well, Joe Firestone went on to, she was already doing well. She went on to be the head writer for Taylor Tomlinson's show After Midnight. Stephen Colbert chose her for that. And she's still our teacher in our senior center on Zoom every Sunday night.
She's so cool. She's got to come on the show, I think. Silverstone.
Have time because Taylor chose to leave the show, so Joe will be done in June. And you said, "What am I doing now?" Well, if Joe moves back to New York, Helaine hopes that Joe will make a few more little films.
Yeah, I want to get a picture of her on the screen here.
She's the most modest person. If you give her a compliment, she turns it back to you. She's a little like Joel's, very selfless.
Oh, that's nice. Let me get a picture of her because she is really funny. Let's see if I can just throw a picture on the screen here. Yeah, so she started working with older comics during the pandemic. You guys were all doing it on Zoom, or you people were all doing it on Zoom. I don't know if we can say guys anymore. You're all doing it on Zoom, and then it just developed into something where you did a show, and I'm going to show the trailer because it's cool.
So this is pretty much like the comedy workshop we do on Zoom, but it's going to be in person, and we're going to do a show in 4 days.
We must do our exercises.
You're going to go through the curtain, and you're going to grab this microphone.
I want to thank you all for coming to my bar mitzvah.
The man goes to the doctor, and the doctor says, you know, you have to stop masturbating. He goes, why? Because I'm trying to examine you.
Thank you all for being here. Has anyone been to a 2 p.m. comedy show before?
Oh, my God. My wife left me recently.
He's so naughty.
Life is a performance. Then there was my head surgery. My boss ever sees this, I'm dead.
Laughter is like food you put in your body.
I would like to be funny, but not in an artificial way, you know, genuinely funny.
I think that you are genuinely funny.
You do?
Yeah.
Really?
Yes.
You're the first person who's ever told me that.
That is so cool. So then you were interviewed on MSNBC for this thing too.
Joe, let me say something just to show what Joe's like about that. She took each one of the 16 people from that movie or special, and she put us, when they invited her to be on a show like MSNBC or whatever, morning news, she took one person each time with her.
Oh, how nice is that? That is so cool. Yeah, she seems like
I got on
really...
a real special one, MSNBC.
Yeah, which is, let's see a little bit of that until they kick us out.
We think we have Helaine Witt with us. Helaine, welcome to the show. You are no stranger to the world of comedy. The late, great Joan Rivers was an idol of yours. She even bought some of your material. Here's a portion of Good Timing where you take us behind one of those jokes. Take a listen.
In the 80s, there was a song by Olivia Newton-John, Let's Get Physical, Physical. So she comes out and she goes, today is income tax day, and my accountant is dancing around the office singing, let's get
fiscal, like fiscal year.
Let's get fiscal, let's get fiscal, fiscal.
And then she said it again.
Let's get fiscal, fiscal.
And then she said it a third time.
Let's get fiscal, fiscal.
She was angry that they weren't laughing loud enough. More than that, she was just singing it 3 times.
I thought it was gonna be a hot joke.
Helaine, what I love about this clip is that it articulates that there are 2 pieces to this. There's the material, there's writing the joke, and then there's delivering the joke, and those are 2 different and distinct skills. What was it like to go from writing jokes to being the one on stage selling them?
Good question. I love the intonation of a joke, the way it's delivered, and it's so important. You could be the funniest writer, but if you don't give it the punch it needs or pull back on the punch, that makes all the difference.
Oh, that's awesome. So yeah, you can check that out on the MSNBC site. I had to stop showing that because who knows, they'll ban me or something. But that's super cool. What was that like being on like one of those shows, like a news show? Is it nerve-wracking?
Well, what was funny was Joe, I didn't pay attention to the password, MSNBC.
Yeah.
So Joe said, you're going to be on with me. And I just came on at the last minute. And she said something like, wear that blouse you wore. You know, I was surprised she told me to wear a blouse. I don't know. She said something. She didn't say you're going on MSNBC.
She didn't? You didn't even know?
No, I just thought I was coming on with her, something casual.
Hilarious.
I didn't know till someone from high school wrote to me and said, I saw you on MSNBC.
You didn't even know you were on when you were on.
Yeah, I didn't know. But when she said the password, it was last minute. Like I did things at the last minute. And when I typed in the password, I went, oh my God, MSNBC. That's when it hit me.
That's great. She
put everyone, like I said, she put someone on with Al Roker on morning news.
Wow, that's really cool. So it got a lot of press.
She's like half my age. She's so successful. And the reason she started teaching us was because she had nothing to do. And she walked down the street and walked into a senior center. And she did it for free for the first year.
Wow. And then next thing you know, she's got a show on Peacock. You know, you just never know.
And then she was Stephen Colbert's head writer.
Yeah.
She also worked on Jimmy Fallon. That was one of the shows she went on to talk about good timing. And could I just say this? You have time?
Yeah, of course.
So my friend Ziggy, who's in it, the one who said, welcome to my bar mitzvah.
Yeah, he's funny.
Says to Joe in his interview portion, I would dream to be on, Jimmy Fallon, but it'll never happen. Well, when he said that, she put that part of it on Jimmy Fallon.
Oh, so she got him on there.
We were going to go that day to try to get in the audience.
Yeah.
He had no idea that was going to happen. If he went that day, he would have been in the audience when that happened.
Wow. That is cool. What about this other pilot that you're working on called The Connie Show?
Thank you.
Yeah.
The Connie Show, you can see that on YouTube too. So crazy. One day on Facebook, it said this guy, Greg Kritikos, he's a Greek guy from Astoria, Queens, where Greek Americans and Greek people live.
Yeah.
And he made a pilot about an angry pizza man whose grandmother started the pizza parlor. And this guy who comes in says, I want a gluten-free, vegan, vegetarian pizza. And he goes, all we have here is pizza. Get out of here. He was very angry. And the guy's like you, very calm. And that's the essence of what it's about. So it's just his life. And then he put on Facebook who would like to audition.
Yeah.
So I told Ziggy again, just like I told him about good timing. I said, Ziggy, they're having auditions in this big building in Manhattan where they have audition rooms. It's very exciting. You might be in LA, so for you it's usual. But like one room could be practicing for a Broadway play.
Yeah.
And this audition and that. So they have all different rooms. I was just so starstruck. Anyway, they asked me to do a little comedy, and then they asked me to improvise Greg walked down the street in his angry way, and I was supposed to interact with him. And then Ziggy did it. Well, guess what? They put Ziggy and I as a married couple in therapy because the girlfriend wanted Greg to stop being such a crab apple. So he comes in, and the therapist is like, we're going to breathe, we're going to dance around, we're going to share. And he took one look at the therapy and ran out. And Ziggy and I had plastic masks from the COVID time.
Yeah.
And we kissed through it. It's like, we can't touch each other. We have to wear these masks. So that was what we did. And that's the part that I had in the pilot.
That's so cool. I'm going to play just the trailer just so we know what it is. The sizzle reel.
Wow, thank you.
Sure, of course.
Word on the street is that we have a cheese shortage in town, so look out, pizza parlors.
There's no cheese left. What do you mean there's no cheese?
What? No cheese?
I'll get it for you. You got a big problem.
What?
You got a problem? Don't fuss. Call Gus. Not my problem.
All you have to do, my man, is put the pepperoni in the bread.
The cheese is at the core of who I am.
I'm fired!
I'm the only one that does the fighting around here. Oh, she's a good kid. But I can't do it. It's not gonna work.
86 to be along! I would take money from a pimp before I took money from you.
Today. Oh, glad you finally got a job.
Hi, I'm Rosa. I'm the new waitress.
Do I look like I joke?
Please give me the cheese.
Don't say please. I got the cheese.
We're back in business. I don't want to talk to you about that anymore.
Wow, thank you.
Nah, 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 nah. Oh.
This looks like a high quality show. It looks like a really good show.
That's very sweet. Well, we hope that someone will pick it up.
Yeah. And that's, I wonder now, does Joe have anything to do with this as well?
No, like I said, this Greg Criticos, who plays the crabby guy, he just put a little ad in Facebook, and I know him from stand-up. He puts on stand-up shows, and it said, who would like to try out to act? And that's all I knew. And I went to Manhattan and tried out, and so did Ziggy, and they put us together as a married couple.
I love your enthusiasm. It's so great.
Oh, it's so...
I think that's like, you know, one of the gifts in life that is the most valuable is enthusiasm. You know? And it's even more important than talent, I think. That's my little Einstein quote that people can quote me. Enthusiasm is more important than talent. Yeah.
You do see some comics, you know, Joe, there are some comics that hustle and they're enthusiastic and they get on stage and you scratch your head. How'd they get all those gigs?
Yeah, I know.
Probably you're right.
Because they're into it. And you know what? They get better too. Like sometimes you're like, this person is terrible. And they just keep doing it and doing it and doing it. And then one day you see them, you're like, oh, they finally figured it out. Because it takes a while to figure it out. I mean, I'm still figuring it out. I'm working on it though.
Me too. We all are.
We all are.
Whenever you think you got it, that's when you're not giving it all on stage, right?
Yeah. And that's what's so great about comedy, I think, is that you're always working on it. Like Bill Burr was talking about, he's doing that Broadway show right now, Glenn Ross, and he's doing comedy afterwards. You know, he goes and does it in a club, and he's like, I got a big show coming out after this that I'm going to have to record and tape. He's like, I cannot just stop doing comedy for months and then all of a sudden just get up there and be funny. It just doesn't work that way. Yeah. I mean, maybe some genius.
I was amazed that he's doing that dramatic role, weren't you?
Yeah, well, it's such an iconic play. And if you get that opportunity, if you're somebody like him, it seems like you'd have to jump at it. You know what I mean? It's just so much fun doing David Mamet like that. How about you? Like, do you have any projects that you're like writing, or do you write? Because you're a writer, obviously.
Good question. I don't like memorizing too much.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I like improvising much better.
And on the movies that you've done, is there a lot of improvisation?
In fact, the little bit, it looks like I'm in movies and TV shows, and yet I was just lucky that in the the pilot you just saw, there were just 2 lines and I barely said them right. Or, I could be flexible.
Yeah.
But I was just lucky to be in all these things and not have to memorize lines. It's not my forte.
Yeah. Well, I can help you out with that if you ever need any help.
Oh, you're an actor?
Yeah. And also, I have memorization techniques that I use.
Oh, my God.
Most actors do, because some people are just really good at it. They have a pornographic memory. But other people, you have to find your way in. There's even a teacher that I had on the show that just teaches line memorization. Because in acting class, it's like the thing you don't talk about for some reason. But you see people struggling with it. And on a set, you see people struggling with it. And that's the worst feeling ever. When you're on a set and you're just like, I can't remember my lines. Your head starts spinning.
I have a friend who's an actress who got back into comedy. And she sits at the club and just looks at her comedy notes all the time. And yet I'm saying to myself, isn't that amazing? She's been done Shakespeare, and when it comes to her comedy set, she's reading it over and over.
So everybody has their different techniques. How do you remember? Since you say this, how do you remember your bits for a longer set?
I should practice more for a longer set.
Yeah.
I haven't had a problem yet because. I'll just say that I haven't had a problem.
You're very good on the fly too with people in the audience. Like you're so present, and you have such a great personality, and you really know how to hit the punch. You really know how to hit the jokes. You know where the jokes are. So
hosting is a whole other.
Oh yeah, tell us about that. Tell us about the hosting. Do you host?
Okay, so I was very lucky there is a guy in New York who has a show that fills a 70-person room right in Times Square. And he let me host. I have to bring people, but it fills up with other people. And you don't get paid, but the experience was so great to do it. And now I get invited once in a while to host other shows. And you have to talk to the people, and but some hosts don't, Joel. I saw a host the other night. He didn't do any crowd work. Some of them don't do any, and I like to do it.
Yeah, and I think that's probably one of your strengths. And it's also a good way to get into shows without having to bring so many people.
Yeah,
don't you think?
That's
because you're providing a service, essentially. But then you can do a set in the beginning. Of course, it's challenging because you have to warm the audience up. And a lot of times they're taking orders and things like that. But it's also an amazing skill to have and a really useful skill to have because a lot of times people don't know how to host.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So I stopped working because I wanted to break away from you're bringing 6 people plus you're hosting for 70 people plus you're not getting any money.
Yeah.
But the return of that is I won't be on his shows anymore.
Yeah. Well,
I brought 2 other things.
Oh, yeah. Okay. No, because we have to end pretty soon and I want to hear do you have something else that you want to show us or talk to us about?
Yes, thank you. This has a glare.
Yeah.
I was proud to go to a workshop that my friend had in San Jose back in the day when Bob Hope was still alive. You can't really see it, but yeah, it says Bob Hope. It's a message.
Yeah.
Okay, so what happened was Jean Perrette, who you probably heard of, and he passed away, right? Jean Perrette and his daughter.
Yeah.
So Jean Perrette was leading a workshop. There weren't that many of us in it. And my friend who ran it went out to eat in the hotel with Jean Perrette, and he got a message from Bob Hope. You see it?
Yeah.
And he did 6 jokes about Rhode Island right then and there while he was having his lunch. And he went, darn it, I have to write 6 jokes about Rhode Island for Bob Hope. And I went, oh my God, that's your problem? Eat lunch and write 6 jokes for Bob
Hope.
So I saved this message. It's so special. And I thought of some jokes while I'm taking his workshop.
Yeah.
If he didn't want to write them, I'll write them. So that's a very special souvenir I have. And then this is the card I wrote for Oatmeal Studios. It's a copy. And
happy birthday to someone. Oh, I'm reading it.
Oh, sorry.
Happy birthday to someone who's passing through the information age and heading for the inflammation age. I like that, inflammation age.
So the company let me use it. The company let me use it as a joke, whereas Joan Rivers, I signed a 6-page contract that says I will never utter the jokes again. The one she told on TV, the 2 that I know she told on TV, I feel I could use. And I have a joke. She died, so can I use the other 8 jokes? But the lawyer's still alive. That's my joke.
Well, it makes sense with the cards because it's 2 different genres, I guess. They're not going to really conflict. Well, and if somebody does call you out, you'll just be like, yeah, I wrote that joke. They're like, I got a greeting card with that joke on it. The inflammation age.
I was proud of that. I only sold one. My friends have sent jokes and to the card company, and we don't always get it sold, but nowadays you can make your own.
Yeah. Okay, so I want to say one other thing. We were talking, Jay Patterson, my co-host on Tuesday's show, she said that one time you were in a club with her and she fell over or something. Can you ask her about that? So can you tell me about it?
Yeah. Yes. So she was in New York because her flight changed, or she missed the flight. So there she was from Kansas or Pittsburgh, Kansas, wherever she's from. So she came to the show that I had. It was my first time performing in front of the man who owns the only 3 comedy clubs on Long Island. So you can imagine that's significant.
Yeah.
And he's sitting in the back, and the seats are too close, according to Jay, because she fell and hurt herself. Oh. And she had to fill out an accident report. And this friend of mine watching the show is a nurse, and she's very, she got angry, and she says, you people shouldn't have your seats so close. And Jay's going to fill out a form because you were negligent. And I went, right, exactly, Joel.
I'm trying to get past here. You're just blowing the whole thing. Talk about upstaging you.
That's funny.
That's funny. And then the other thing you said was Jerry Seinfeld was asked who his favorite interviewer was.
Well, Linda Marcus Smith asked him.
She asked him this.
Yeah. Oh. Okay. So Jerry Seinfeld shows up at Gotham Comedy Club sometimes, and he did a Q&A, and Linda Marcus Smith was in the audience, and she got to ask a question, which is, who was your favorite interview that you did? Is that right, Linda? Because Linda's here.
She's here. She's there. Say hi to her.
She happens to be in my house.
That's great.
And he said, what did he say, Linda? None of them.
None of them? Why?
Because they don't listen, right, Linda?
They don't listen and they don't care.
There's
Linda. They don't listen and they don't care.
Oh, man. Poor Jerry Seinfeld. No one's listening to him. So sad. Wah, wah, wah. Hi, Linda.
What's the deal with interviewers?
What's the deal? They just don't listen. They're so selfish. All right, well.
Just in time, because I don't want to quote misquote.
Yeah.
So it's perfect. She
was right there.
My house.
That's great. And what a treat to have her show up on the screen right at the end of the show. Hey, it's dance break time, so we're going to play a Beatles song, cover of a Beatles song. Thank you so much for being on the show, Helaine. This has been
You are amazing.
It's been a
I've
wild
never had
ride.
an interview like you. If I was Jerry, I'd say Joel Marshall.
That's right. Thank you. I appreciate that. All right, dance break. We'll see you all next week for more Lunch Therapy. And this has been Helaine Witt, Lunch Therapy Interview Friday.
Tell your wife you're a wonderful interviewer.
All right, thank you. All right, so let's see. This is Oliver Pesci. Things we said today.
You say you will love me if I have to go.
Pretty sure Jerry's going to be okay.
Somehow I will know. Someday when I'm lonely,
this guy's good.
Wishing you weren't so far away, then I will remember things we said today.
Oh, yeah.
say, then we will remember things we said today.
I like this part.
I'm
Just a lucky kind.
Love to hear you say that love is luck. No, we may be blind, but love is here to stay, and that's enough to make you mine.
All right, thanks everybody. Thank you so much for watching, and thank you for being here, Helaine, and thank you to Oliver Pesch for his beautiful music.